So let's go to really the first topic giving, and I wrote it all in caps because I will say I'm going to apologize. I was a little bit disrespectful of the Ravens before this game. I said that when Lamar Jackson gets under pressure, he looks to run. That clearly proved to be wrong in this game. I said that the Ravens, the way you can attack them, I mean, I said that I gave the defense their flowers, but I don't think I was giving the Ravens enough respect as I really should have. And I think that, it's time to kind of talk about what they did right in this game and just talk about how I was wrong especially about Lamar Jackson, especially about Lamar Jackson. I'm trying to find a way. Hold on a second. Okay, there we go. Especially about Lamar Jackson. But let's get into kind of the details of the game. In this game really showed me how hard it is to contain just any team. This is why mobile quarterbacks, elite mobile quarterbacks, not just mobile quarterbacks, because you could consider Josh Dobbs a mobile quarterback, but he's not as elite on the mobility side and the passing side as Lamar Jackson is. And it shows to me, I mean, how just elite Lamar Jackson, how hard it is to stop mobile quarterbacks in general. There was one play that really sticks out to me was it was later in the game, and Lamar Jackson scrambled out to his right. And basically what happened was there was Fred Warner keeping contain on Lamar Jackson, kind of just standing in the middle of the field, waiting to see what Lamar Jackson was going to do and trying to prevent Lamar Jackson from running. And basically what happened was Fred Warner bit on Lamar Jackson running, and right before Lamar Jackson crosses the line of scrimmage to run, he tucks it, and then right before he crossed the line of scrimmage, there is a running back that was helping block, and then that running back leaked out, and Lamar Jackson just dumps it off. But because Fred Warner left the middle of the field where the running back had leaked out, he left the middle of the field to go help tackle Lamar Jackson. And so it left a running back wide open in the middle of the field. So that was one of the plays that kind of stood out to me yesterday and kind of shows how hard it is to stop really elite mobile quarterbacks, because when they do scramble, as a linebacker in the middle of the field, you don't know if you should go and cover that quarterback, or if you should go and tackle the quarterback, or if you should stay and keep covering. And so it really is hard to stop guys like that. And it's why the 49ers partly lost the game, is because Lamar Jackson is just really hard to read what he's going to do, because he's so dangerous at every level. And we need to start calling him the MVP, because after Brock Purdy's abysmal performance and Lamar Jackson just continuing to play really, really, really well, I mean, what's stopping him from not getting the MVP? This guy is by far the most dangerous player that defenses face, because he's so good at passing it now and he's so good at running it. So Lamar Jackson for MVP, 100%. We also have to point out Zay Flowers. 9 receptions, 72 yards, 1 TD. I said earlier, I mean, I said last week with Steph Sanchez from 49K podcast. Go check out that podcast we did last week. It's in my live section, so you guys can go and check that out. But I said the one player, now that the Ravens have lost the running back Keaton Mitchell for the rest of the year, the one player that the 49ers still have to keep an eye out for is Zay Flowers. And Zay Flowers had a massive day. And it really just goes back to the thing of the 49ers really struggle against fast, speedy receivers, because their cornerbacks aren't super good at covering one-on-one very fast, because they don't have super extremely athlete corners at cornerback. I mean, they do, but it's tough to cover fast receivers, speedy receivers in general. And so Zay Flowers, 9 receptions, 72 yards, 1 TD. I mean, they were putting him in motion before the snap, and basically what they do, they put him in motion. It would kind of shift the linebackers, and then they just leak Isaiah Likely out like the opposite way. And it opened up a lot of things for the tight end Isaiah Likely, because before the snap even started, a lot of times during this game, so many people were focused on Zay Flowers because I mean, you can get a big play out of him at any time because he's just an explosive player. And so the Ravens were using that to their advantage to get other players open. Like I said, Isaiah Likely would just, he'd leak out to the opposite side. They'd fake maybe a run to Gus Edwards. Lamar Jackson would tuck it, boom, completion to Isaiah Likely, or Lamar Jackson would tuck it and run. It's a really dangerous offense that the Ravens have. And don't even sleep on Gus Edwards, because he was great yesterday as well, too. I'm trying to look at my other notes to see what else I got, but let's transition from maybe what the defense was dealing with, because that's kind of what I saw from the defense, from the 49ers defense, how it was just hard to contain Zay Flowers, Lamar Jackson, and the run game just all together. It was really hard to contain it because all of those guys, Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, Isaiah Likely, Gus Edwards even, they're explosive players. They are hard to stop. So that's one thing. But another thing that I kind of want to touch on before I get to your guys' comments, let's flip over to the 49ers offense. Because I feel like when we talk about this game, we're talking about how the 49ers messed up on offense, how they were bad on offense. And yes, a big part of this game was the 49ers, their how do I put this? Their lack of execution on offense. But we also have to talk about their defense. The 49ers defense wasn't great in this game either. They allowed a lot of things later in the game, especially. So, but let's talk about the 49ers offense. My main concern right now is, will the 49ers offensive line be healthy enough? They lost Trent Williams. They lost Jalen Moore to a concussion. And Trent Williams, I don't think it's a terrible injury, but they still lost him. They lost Aaron Banks. Who knows what he's dealing with? So for the Niners, it's like, they only kept 8 offensive linemen on the roster. And now it's like, do they even have enough offensive linemen to play? So they're going to either have to look into signing someone, or they're going to have to rush Trent Williams back. It would be nice to give Trent Williams a week off, but against the Commanders next week, but it might come down to it where the 49ers might not have the option to rest Trent Williams, because Jalen Moore, if he doesn't pass concussion protocol, then he cannot play either. So, and that's their backup left tackle. So the 49ers vary their depth. This was a huge concern just going into the season and just throughout the season in general. The depth on the offensive line is lacking. And we all knew that. The 49ers had just gotten really lucky of not losing any of these guys to injury, so they were able to manage it. But that's one question that I have. Will the offensive line be healthy enough? Because we're better than the Commanders, but if our offensive line isn't healthy enough, it's really hard to get anything done. And David McNiner brings up a perfect comment here. We threw the ball 48 times, ran it 12. That's not 49er football. I will get to that. I don't think it was all Brock Purdy's fault. But I will say, let's give the Ravens some more flowers, because I'm going to get to Brock Purdy in a second. Hold on. Let's give the Ravens some more flowers, because offensively, they're hard to stop. And it did help offensively that they did have their left tackle, Ronnie Stanley, who was questionable with a concussion and maybe wasn't going to play, but he ended up playing. He was their left tackle, and that really helped them a lot too. But Ravens defense, let me give them, they're the best defense in the league. Patrick Queen, absolute monster. They can run. They're just a fast, physical, hard-hitting defense. And Marlon Humphrey, their cornerback, he was like, on his podcast last week, he was like, this Niners team is soft. And I was like, well, that's a lot of trash to be talking, because the Niners team is the best in the league. But Marlon Humphrey backed up his trash talk and backed it up with just playing really good football. The Ravens, their defense can run. Their Ravens defense is a fast, explosive. They're good at all three levels. The problem with the Eagles is the linebacker core. I mean, their defensive line is good, but the linebacker core is so bad that you can just exploit the team that way. At all three levels, the Ravens are really good, and that's really, I mean, Jadeveon Clowney had what a day. Just absolutely picked apart Colton McKivitz. And I mean, I knew he was going to, because Colton McKivitz isn't a great right tackle, and that's one position we need to invest in. But, you know, another thing that I will say about the Ravens defense is they are not afraid to blitz. I mean, they blitz a lot. Like, when I mean a lot, they blitz a lot. And they also, like, typically when you see blitzes, the blitz is either coming from a slot corner or a linebacker or whatever, or a safety. But the Ravens at some points, like, Brock Purdy would be lined up under center, and the Ravens would take Brandon Stevens, their cornerback, lined up against Brandon Ayuk, and they'd bring him in and blitz. So the Ravens are not afraid, in this game showed that they were not afraid to blitz with anyone on the field, whether it was a cornerback on a top receiver on the Niners, whether it was a linebacker, safety, whatever it was. But they were not afraid to just mix up the blitz packages. And that's why I think Brock Purdy struggled so much. Is Brock Purdy was like, no one has ever done this to me in my career. No one has ever blitzed me this creatively in my career, because, you know, he's faced teams that have blitzed him a lot, but not creatively. The Ravens were sending blitzes from everywhere across the field, and that's what I think really won them this game. And I mean, I want to go back to kind of the Brock Purdy first interception